The Kiss. I fell in love when I was 7. Her name was Wilhelmina Draper, and everyone called her Billy. She was the most popular kid in our class. She had brownish blonde hair, cut in a bob, and big blue eyes that sparkled when she laughed. She could outrun everyone, and she learned how to skin the cat on the monkey bars before any of the boys would even try it. She fished and even baited her own hook. She smiled at me in class one day, and that was all it took. I was the Indian kid from up the block. I was a foster kid, and that made me different. All the other kids in my class had real parents and real families, and they were part of real neighborhoods like the families in the books we read in school. They had Dick and Jane and Bobbsey twins kinds of lives. My life was far from that. I existed on the fringes. Not that my foster family treated me badly. I don't recall a harsh thing being said or done to me in that home. But Northern Ontario in the early 1960s was hardly a comfortable place to be Indian. I wore the feeling of being different like clothing. I understood, even then, that familial love transforms you, makes you bigger somehow, elevates you. When I was 7, I craved that raising up. Billy Draper smiled at me, and I felt like I belonged, like I fit. That smile erased everything. Up until then, school was all about being the only Indian kid, about the teasing and name calling and schoolboy fights that went with it. With that one smile, the clouds and the heavens parted. She lived at the bottom of a steep hill. From my house at the top of the hill, I could see her pedal her bike around the neighborhood below. One day, I pedaled my bike down that hill as fast as I could. When the pavement leveled out, I slowed down some more, and when I reached Billy's house, I faked a crash to the sidewalk. She saw me fall. I'd counted on that. When she bent over to check on me, I reached up and pulled her into the wettest, sloppiest kiss ever given. She screamed and ran back into her house. I was left dazed and happy on the sidewalk, staring up at a sky suddenly blue. The story of that kiss spread like wildfire. Every boy wanted to kiss Billy Draper, and I was the class hero for about a week. I was adopted out of the neighborhood a year or so later, and I never saw Billy Draper again, but I never forgot that kiss or the smile that drove me to it. What I needed most back then was someone to tell me that I was okay, that I counted, that I belonged. I was in that foster home because my parents had been sent to residential school and never developed parenting skills. They couldn't offer the nurturing and protection I needed. I was in that foster home because someone had fractured the bonds that tied me to tradition and culture and language and spirituality. I became one of the lost ones, one of the disappeared ones, vanished into the vortex of foster care and adoption. We talk a lot today about healing the wounds of residential schools. The government is paying out large sums of money to the survivors and setting up programs for them to discuss their pain and anguish. But there are other generations besides the one that experienced the trauma firsthand. There are people like me who had to endure a life of separation, of cultural displacement. We need to take care of those people too. Somewhere out there, right now, is an Indian kid, like I was, wandering around someone else's Bobbsey twin neighborhood wondering why he's there and who he is. Somewhere out there is an Indian kid looking for the smile that will make the clouds go away. He's our responsibility, all of us.